Welcome to another ContinuousX podcast where we try to solve for X in the SDLC equation. Our guest again, our favorite, Jamie Duncan. How are you, Jamie?
Doing well. How are y'all, Michael, Rick?
Well, great. Well, I kind of set the scene from the last episode, but you've been on the forefront of public sector's cultural and technological transformation since I've known you, which has probably been about 8 years thus far. And you've always been able to identify trends and innovations before they become commonplace. Tell us and our listeners about some new products or trends on the horizon that has you excited and its potential for the IT community.
Well, number one, payment for that lie is coming in Bitcoin probably. But thank you for the incredibly kind lie. Cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. God, there's so many different ways to slice and dice that. Where I'm looking, I'm doing a lot of work these days. And it's not something I ever thought I would do a lot of work in, because I'm a failed history major / Linux nerd. I'm working with a lot of customers these days around AI and the place I'm finding a lot of fun living in is this sort of intersection between what you would call a lot of sort of cloud native-y, DevOps-y kind of things and AI, where I'm not going and building the models because I'm wholly unqualified to do that and wholly unqualified to even understand most of the words. But when you have that, when you understand the inputs and the outputs of those things, how do I take them and make a meaningful experience for end users around it and integrate that into existing solutions or build new solutions out of it? That stuff is nuts.
Yeah.
And will do so many cool things. Like it's not public sector, but you can see very quickly, like these parallels are completely cross industry, completely cross vertical. Like I'm doing work with one customer. They're actually a chip manufacturer. They do silicon. And we're helping them do defect classification on their assembly lines. So they know there's a defect, but we're helping them figure out what kind of defect there is and tying back into all of their stuff, into their databases and into their manufacturing historians and all that stuff is incredibly interesting. Number one, because those industries are typically a little more, starched white collar.
Yeah.
Very, very, change averse and very tried and true. We've been doing it this way for 25 years. So kind of breathing in this idea that you can take this image, upload it to, a bucket, have a function trigger off of the upload event that grabs the bytes of the file and dumps them against an API that is a trained AI model, pulls the results back and does some Python imaging stuff on it. And all of that happens in like 7 seconds.
So you're talking about auto remediation and things like that?
Right. That idea that you auto really anything.
Yeah.
So any kind of result that an AI model, you feed it an input, be it an image of a broken widget, be it a piece of text, be it a whatever, your model does work on it and gives you the results back. Those results are often as not, or just a chunk of JSON.
Right.
Like we're getting to the point that AI and machine learning world speaks the same language that we speak in modern tech. So I can interface with them incredibly easily. So now I've got the results of my AI query back. I've analyzed my widget and I've got the world's oyster. Like it's sitting in a container. The results are sitting in a pod in a Kubernetes cluster in JSON, for God's sake, which means we can do anything in the world we want to with them. I can color code to my heart's content. I can do all sorts of crazy additional post-processing and analytics to put context around that AI ML call and do all sorts of crazy stuff. Like sentiment analysis, speech recognition, all of those things. There are all of these libraries out there in all of these languages to do all that, to work with them And when I throw that AI component in there, I turn a pretty boring tool. Suddenly it's turned up to 11.
Wow.
So for me, the coolest thing out there is that increasing interconnectivity between what we would call a modern architecture for an application and its ability to interface with AI and ML. And that's probably not the direction that y'all were thinking when y'all asked that question.
No,
and we wanted to know where. We threw that out as a let's find out.
But I'll be with me until like this.
Yeah. To me, that is the coolest thing we're doing in our tech right now, bringing in things that are not if-else statements.
Right.
Because inside programming, and I make sort of old school developers mad when I say this, but no one's called me a liar yet. I don't care what language you use. I don't care how good you are writing code. You have if-else for a while. That's all you got.
You got print.
But the only logic operators we have, regardless of the programming language, is if-else for a while.
Right.
AI and ML gets me past that.
Yeah.
And gets us past that for the first time. So that now that I can interface easily, like in Google, and here's my shameless plug. When you use like Google's AI platform, we call it Vertex AI. You go build a model and do the training, do all the stuff that I don't understand. What comes out the other end is a container image.
Oh, interesting.
And that container image, when you run it, has a port open that I bounce a structured call. I post into my AI model. Like when I saw that, man, my mind like just, because now I get past if-else for a while for the first time in my career. And I get to all sorts of really cool stuff that would be prohibitive in a traditional programming world. It's not that I couldn't get there, analyzing pixel by pixel with, Python imaging library. So it's just prohibitive to try to do it without an AI model.
Interesting.
It's just the coolest thing out there, man. And you can just plug this stuff in all over the place.
I listen to these podcasts from psychologists, and they talk about MI and ML, and they're saying it's still in its nascent stage, because when you try to manufacture the human brain, you're literally it does tens of thousands of computations in a microsecond. But it's all I see the metaphor as being like almost like a synapse that we're trying to get to is to the lowest level of thinking, and then analyzing it with the ability to abstract context.
Yeah.
Which is something that's not the if-else for loop.
Right. That context is king. And, I work a lot with customers. I had a talk yesterday with the guy inside Google Cloud that does all of our retail stuff. And he's millions of miles of experience in that world. And just listening to the way they're talking about how all of these things interface, the way user experiences are expected now, that we don't expect to wait in a chat queue anymore. We expect that thing. We expect to be able to interface with that thing and talk about it. We don't expect to have to, do 14 drop downs to get to the thing that we want to get to anymore. The phone interface has sort of ruined us on that, but it's forced all of us to evolve. Yeah. It's forced that AppDev world to evolve past HTML. And we still write it in HTML at the end of the day, but HTML3 or HTML whatever is new that gives us cool stuff. The fact that we're getting there, and now that we're able to plug all of this additional logic into it, man, everybody's experience is just exploding. One of the weirdest ones, and I'm not used to it yet. I've lived in North Carolina now for about 4 years. When I go to pay my car taxes, it's a chat app. Wow. So it's like Bubbles. And it's like, I'm telling you, here's my license plate number. And it says, would you like to pay this one? And I say, yes. And it adds it to the bill. But that experience, the first time I was like, what in God's name is this brokenness? It worked perfectly.
But what's cool about that, Jamie, is you can extrapolate that into, do you want to register? That's coming up next week. Here's a place to go and get it inspected. Oh, by the way, we can inspect it over the air.
Yeah. Now, and how many years are we from take a picture of your brake pads?
Right.
and it runs it against an AI model that measures how thick they are. And
Fantastic.
it tells me whether or not I've passed inspection. Like that sort of like that world, and that is again crossing. But when you point that at the government, and you point those capabilities at the government, and I know AI and ML has a rougher road to hoe, because like what goes in and what goes out, and like where do we want that to be in the government versus where do we want human interaction? I think we should really be asking those questions hard. But man, when we find the right spots for it, the amount of productivity, the amount of satisfaction we can see in our citizens and our end users is just going to mushroom. I mean, it's just going to explode. I think, so to me, that's the coolest stuff we're doing in tech right now.
Well, Jamie, you never fail to disappoint, my friend. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks so much, Jamie, for all this brilliant insight and innovation.
Thanks for having me.
Great talk. And thanks to our listeners for listening and viewing our vidcast. So tune in to our next episode with another guest that's not going to be as fascinating as Jamie, I guarantee it.
Oh, I guarantee it.
Wow, you just ruined our next guest.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll have to be you and me now. It'll have to be you and me now, Fitz.
I've got a list.
We gotta find it. We gotta find our guest before this one airs.
Jesus, Rick.
All right. Okay, I ruined this episode, but stay tuned for our next episode where we continue to solve for X in the SDLC equation.